Hi guys, this video is about Egyptian hieroglyphics according to a Semitic speaker. I will be rearranging the Egyptian hieroglyphic symbols according to a Semitic speaker. So it will be different from the Western side. Please subscribe and like my video. The first sound is the A sound. And just like the Western scholars, I have taken the Egyptian hieroglyph, the eagle sign, which is represented in Amharic, as you can see also by that symbol. And if you turn the eagle to the right side or the Amharic alphabet to the left side, it looks so similar. As you can see, the Amharic, the upper side looks like a mouse or a beak of the eagle or something, and it has two legs just like the eagle, and it seems similar. Then next one is also the A sound, because in Semitic language the A sound is represented twice. You can find it in Arabic, in Hebrew, in Paleo-Hebrew or Aramaic, and also in Amharic, as Amharic is also a Semitic language. So for this sign, I have taken the mouse and the eye symbol, because in Amharic we call the eye ayin, and the mouse we call it af. So both the eye and the mouse starts with an A sound in Amharic. That's why I have chosen the Egyptian hieroglyphic signs for that. The next one is the B sound. As you can see, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, I have taken the leg sign, the door sign, and the house sign. This is because in Amharic, all three of it starts with the B sound or with the B sound. We call the leg bat, we call the door bar, we call the house bait. So the three symbols starts with a B sound. So that's why I have taken these three symbols. The Western scholars only take the symbol of the house. The next one is the G sound. As you can see, it is a potsherd, a symbol of potsherd, and in Amharic it also starts with a G sound. We call it Gel. So it's similar with the assumption of the Western scholars. The next one is the D sound. As you can see, I have taken the sign of the palm and a cut off leg with a blood coming out. This is because in Semitic language, blood, we call it dam. So it starts with a D sound. And the palm of the hand, in Amharic we say medaf. Even though it starts with a me sound, the me sound is, it's not that loud. The loud sound you can hear from the word is the D sound. Medaf. The D becomes much louder. So I have taken the palm sign and also the cut off leg with the blood flowing. As you can see, it is so similar with the Amharic sign of the D. If you compare that to the cut off leg, it seems so similar. The next one is the H sound. You know, in Semitic language, the H sound, just like the A sound, it is represented by two symbols. I mean, it's represented twice in Semitic language, and just like that in Amharic, it is represented twice. And besides what the Western scholars have taken for the H sound, the first two symbols, I have added 4 additional symbols, because these 4 additional symbols looks like the Amharic ha. It's so the same, it's carbon copy. You can say that the Egyptian hieroglyphics for especially for the last three signs. If you compare it to the Amharic, is so much similar. And you keep wondering when you see this much similarity. I will show you on other symbols also how much there are signs or symbols of the Egyptian hieroglyphic which is so similar to the Amharic alphabet. The next one is also, as I told you, it is represented, each sound is represented twice. So I have chosen these two symbols with the one raised hand. As you can see, the raised hand is so carbon copy of the Amharic symbol. They are so similar, so the Amharic must have come from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, and also have taken for the H sound, just like the Westerners, scholars, the sign of the loaf together. So this both signs represents, I think, the H sound. Then comes the W sound. In Amharic it is we. It is the sound is we. And the Egyptian hieroglyphics, just like the Western scholars, have taken the bird sign. And the bird sign, in Amharic, we call it wef. It starts with a w, with an Amharic w sound. Wef. We call it wef. And what's so amazing here is that if you see the Rosetta Stone, the Rosetta Stone is a stone inscribed by the Egyptian hieroglyphics, Greek, and some other language. And on this Egyptian hieroglyphics, on the Rosetta Stone, you can see the Amharic symbol for W, for the W sign. And it's so amazing. It's so similar to the Amharic one. It's carbon copy. And I don't know why, for the Egyptian hieroglyphics, why not the Westerners have taken this symbol on the Rosetta Stone to represent the W or the W sign, for the W sound. Because the Rosetta Stone would be a latest form of the hieroglyphics, while the bird sign must be an older symbol used before the W sign was, before the sign you are seeing on the Rosetta developed. Before that, they were using the bird sign. Most probably that's what happened. Comes the next symbol. For the Z sound, I have taken what looks like a pointing finger for the Z sound, for the Z sound in English. It can be a pointing finger. It looks like a pointing finger, and it also looks like a crown. And what's amazing is that in Amharic, we call a crown zawd. We call it zawd. And it starts with a Z sound, with a Z sound, the sound of the Semitic sound. So it can be it can be a pointing finger, or it can be a crown, the symbol that we are seeing on the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Then the next alphabet is the Y. As you can see, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, it looks like a feather, a symbol of a feather, or it looks like a leaf. And as you can see, the Amharic symbol is also the same as the Egyptian hieroglyphics, especially if you turn the Egyptian hieroglyphics to the right side, or if you turn the Amharic symbol to the left side. Both look like a feather or a leaf. Then comes the K sound. I have taken from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, just like the Westerners, the sign of a drum, a sign of a call, and what looks like a throne, a sign of a throne. And I have taken this, especially the first two, just like the Westerners, because both of these words start with a K sound in Amharic. For example, the drum, we call it kabaro, and the call sign, we call it kasal. So both of them start with a K. But the throne sign, I've taken it as the K sound because the sign looks so similar to the Amharic K. If you turn the Egyptian hieroglyphics to the right side, or if you turn the Amharic symbol to the left side, it looks so similar, especially if you take off the lower sign on the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the lower sign that's pointing outward. If you cut off that, it looks so similar to the K of the Amharic sign. And you keep wondering, Amharic is a direct descendant of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Were there the same people in ancient time, same people sharing language and culture? It seems like that. Then comes the next letter, which is the L letter, the L sound. And for this, I have taken the Egyptian hieroglyphics for the sign of the hand, what looks like a rope, and also the sign of the lion. I've taken these three signs because, in ancient time in Egypt, they used to measure with their arms. And in Amharic, we call it laka. Laka means measure. And it is measured with your hand in ancient times. So I have taken that symbol as the L sound. And the rope sign, I've taken it because you use the rope sign also for measuring. You use it for measuring. So it has to be taken as the L sound because to measure means laka in Amharic. And also I've taken the lion sign as the L sound because in Amharic we call the skin of the lion lamd. We call it lamd, and it starts with an L sound. So that's why I have taken the symbols as the L sound, because there are words which is connected to measuring, which starts with the L sound. Then comes the next alphabet, the next sound or letter is M. Here I have taken just like what the Egyptian, what the Western scholars have taken, the sign of an owl and what looks like a sign of a pond. Here I have no explanation except maybe, on the owl sign on its face, when you see it, the eye and its beak together, it looks like the Amharic ma. It looks like the Amharic ma. You can see, the Amharic ma, it has two circles, and that is the eye of the eagle. Maybe it came also the Amharic ma from the eyes and the beak of the owl sign. Then the next one is the N sound. For the N sound, I have taken the Egyptian hieroglyphics for a snake and also what looks like the sign of a water flowing. The water flowing, the Western scholars have assumed an N sound for it, so I have taken that as they have, but I have also added the Egyptian sign or symbol of the snake, because as you can see, the sign looks so similar to the Amharic na. And also, when a snake bites you, we call it nadafa. To bite means to nadafa. So it also starts with an N sound. So that's why I have added this Egyptian symbol for the N sound. Then comes the S sound. Like I told you, there are more than one symbol or letter in Semitic language for different letters, and S is one of them. The S sound is also represented twice in Semitic language. It is like that in Arabic, in Hebrew, in Amharic also. The S sound is represented twice. So one of it is have taken what looks like the sign of a crown. So as you can see, it is so much similar to the Amharic sa. Look at it. It is so much similar. It's carbon copy. So that's why I have taken the symbol as the S sound. And comes also the other S sound. As you can see for the Egyptian hieroglyphics, you can see that this sign, which looks like the Amharic sa. If you take off the Amharic sa, the line on top of the birth sign, it looks so similar to the Egyptian hieroglyphics, to the second symbol. So, you know, you wonder if Amharic is a direct descendant of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Then comes the F sound. I have taken from the Egyptian hieroglyphic symbol the sign of a rectangle and a sign of what looks like a worm. The worm, I have taken it because it looks like the Amharic fur. But the rectangle side, the Western scholars have taken that symbol to represent the P sound. But you know, in ancient time, in Semitic language, or in Semitic language, which is the oldest one, the Paleo-Hebrew, on that there is no P sound. P sound comes in Greek. It was created in 400 BC, and in Latin it started to be used in the 16th century. So that rectangle sign has to be an F sound, because in Paleo-Hebrew there is no P sound in ancient time. That's why I took it, assuming that, you know, the Egyptian, I believe that the Egyptian hieroglyphics is a Semitic language, you know, even though it's not been proven, but I believe that from its location, and also some of the, not some, most of the Egyptian hieroglyphics, from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, there are symbols which is so similar to the Amharic one. So I assume that the Egyptians' ancient language was also a Semitic language. Then comes the Q later. For the Q later, I have taken these two Egyptian symbols. You know, as you can see, the first one, it looks like a color box. It looks like a color box, and the next symbol, the second symbol, looks like a paintbrush. I have taken these two symbols for the key sound because in Amharic we call color kalam, and to paint means kabba. So both of color and to paint in Amharic starts with the ka sound. Kabba, kalam, and kabba. So that's why I have taken the symbols for the key sound. Key sound, because the words, we find words which starts with the ka sound in Amharic from the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Then comes the R later. For the R later, from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, I have taken the sign of the head and what looks like a crown. I have taken the head because in Semitic language, head means ras. it starts with an R sound. You know, in the first letters, the Egyptian, I mean, the Western scholars take the sign of the mouth as the R sound, but I do not believe that the sign of the mouth is an R sound. It is an A sound, while from the Egyptian hieroglyphic symbols, it must be the head sign, which has to represent the R sound, because in Semitic language, head means ras. Then comes the sh sound. This sound, it doesn't exist in English. It exists only, I think, in Amharic and in Paleo-Hebrew, and also, of course, in Hebrew, and I think also in Arabic it exists, but it doesn't exist in English. As we can see, from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, you know, you find the second two symbols so much similar to the Amharic sign of sh. What's amazing is that, you know, in ancient time, the king's names were encircled by cartouche. Cartouche is a French word. Cartouche is a French word. The Egyptian word, the Egyptian name or word for the cartouche is shinu. Shinu. It is shinu. So shinu in Amharic means 1,000 kam. It means 1,000 kam. And as you can see, the cartouche symbol looks so much similar to the Amharic sh. And this is one of also the unique symbol which connects Egyptian hieroglyphics to Amharic. It's so amazing. Look at the cartouche sign and look at the Amharic sh sign. It's so much similar. And I believe these three symbols represent the sh sound of the Semitic alphabet. I mean, the Semitic sound. Then the next one is the s sound. Just like the sh sound, the s sound does not exist in English. As you can see from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, I have taken these two circles, what looks like the sign of the sun, and also what looks like the sign of the breast. And this symbol, as you can see, is so much similar to the Amharic th, and this same symbol exists in Paleo-Hebrew. So I believe that these symbols represent the th sound. And the Western scholars have taken the signs. They did not give it. They did not assign a letter to it. They simply assumed that these signs represent a town or a city. But I don't think so. It has a sound. It is a later representation. That's my belief, that both the signs represent a sound, because it exists in Semitic, in Paleo-Hebrew, and in Amharic alphabet. I don't think these signs exist in modern Hebrew and Arabic alphabets. And also what's amazing is that in Amharic, sun means ahai. So it starts with ahai. The symbol itself is the symbol looks like the sun symbol. Then comes the last letter, the T sign, the T letter. As you can see, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the first one looks so much similar to the Amharic T. That's why I have taken it also as the representation of T sound, besides what the Western scholars have taken the second symbol. And what's amazing is that, you know, as you can see, the Amharic letter of the To letter and sound looks just like the Egyptian sign. The Egyptian sign. They gave it the Ankh. The Western scholars call the Egyptian sign, the first sign, they call it Ankh. But I don't think it is Ankh. It is Allah. It has to be Allah, because Allah in Amharic and in Semitic language means He exists. It means He exists. And this same Egyptian hieroglyphic sign exists in Amharic. In Amharic, every letter has 7 forms of representation with different vowel extensions. So one of the sound extension of the tel letter is just like the Egyptian hieroglyphics. And with this, I come to the end. I have covered all the letters. And thank you for watching, and please, if you like this video, subscribe and like my channel. Thank you.